up, everybody? So it's the first time I'm putting my face in an art video, so that's kind of cool. I haven't done it in the past just because I was doing like some graffiti stuff and I had it in my head that I was gonna put like tagging videos out and I didn't want my face connected with that. But yeah, that's probably not gonna happen just because I don't really have any interest in that for the most part. Anyways, today, you can tell by the title, we're gonna do some Lino cut graffiti stickers. So yeah, I sketched this out. Don't know if you can see that. Can you see it? Is it backwards because I'm using the front facing camera? I don't know. I sketched, you'll see it in the next footage, but I sketched out just a very simple like straight letter and then a throwy kind of different oriented vertically. And I want to put this on some graffiti stickers using a linoleum block. So I bought these linoleum blocks and the lino cutting supplies, which I'll show you later on. It's just a cutter with different blades and then a brayer to put the ink on these. So these are 3x4 blocks. The back is wood, but the front is the linoleum. This gray part is the linoleum here. And you can get these in different forms, different sizes. Sometimes they're not mounted on a block, but I think it's going to make it a lot easier. And basically, I'm going to get, the goal here is to get this sketch onto this block, cut it out, and then be able to stamp that on some postage stickers. So I probably could have gone quite a bit bigger for the sticker, but we're going to work with it. So you can use this technique with a lot of different, it's like professional printmaking, but I'm going to use it for stickers today. And I have another block, I've got 3 of them, so I'll use the other one for something kind of like more fine arts. But first, I'm going to use my light box to get... Okay, this is important. Listen up. So if you're going to do this, just know, when you stamp this down onto your paper, you're going to get the reverse of that image. So if you write the letters A, if you draw it out perfectly, like you normally would on a piece of paper, A, B, C, and stamp it down, you're going to get a backwards CBA, okay? Does that make sense? Because you're getting the reverse when you stamp it down. So in order to accommodate that, how am I going to get this backwards onto this? Well, I traced it with my light box. I flipped this over so the letters were backwards, turned on my light box and traced that onto a new piece of paper. And then from there, I covered the back of this paper in graphite and then traced it onto the block. So that's what you're going to see right now, and it's going to show you every single step I took. So enjoy that, and then we're going to cut this out. Alright, so I just used my light box to get the reverse of this image like I mentioned before. So I taped the 2 pieces together that I was working on. That's the original drawing that I had. I turned that upside down so then the letters appeared backwards. I put a clean piece of paper on top and taped those together to keep them from moving around and just traced the reverse image. So that's what you're seeing now. I just used a pencil and traced that image. And I flipped it back and forth a few times just to make sure everything was lining up right and make sure I was getting all the detail that I needed to see and make sure everything was working out right. So I do think I lost a little bit of the detail from my original drawing to the finished product in both tracing it like this and also cutting it out. I think I lost a little bit of detail, but I'm totally satisfied with the end product. So I did this. Also, I wanted to mention that if you're like a baller and you can just draw your backwards image directly onto your block, you won't even need to do all this. Or if you're using an image as opposed to any letters or numbers where it doesn't matter which way it's facing, then you don't have to do this. You can actually just draw directly onto the block and save yourself this full set of steps here. But I went ahead and traced these out. And once I got those images where everything appeared backwards, then I flipped over the new piece of paper now that has the backwards images on it, and I covered the whole back of this with graphite. And what that's going to do is act as transfer paper, so then when I draw that onto the block, the graphite will actually get transferred onto the block. So here now I'm just setting it on the block and positioning it to where I can get it where it'll be transferred properly and putting the graphite on the back of the paper. Also, I wanted to mention that I painted the top of my linoleum block yellow. As you can see right there, that's yellow acrylic paint.
And I did this so that my graphite would show up because graphite's gray and the linoleum I purchased was gray. I wanted to make sure that it stood out. And I've seen a lot of people do this. They'll cover the top of their stuff, the top of their linoleum with a contrasting color. And that way, not only can you see your drawing better, but when you go to cut it, you can clearly see what's been cut and what hasn't. So here I just turned my light box on so I can clearly see the edges of that block, but you don't need to do that. I just wanted to be able to position it a little bit better. And I just retraced everything that I had traced earlier. So I'm still tracing over the same lines, but now everything that I'm drawing on top of is going to transfer all that graphite on the back of the paper onto the block itself. So I'm making sure that I'm pressing pretty hard and going over my lines over and over so that I get a really nice crisp transfer, and it actually worked extremely well, and I would definitely recommend it for someone who doesn't have transfer paper. It worked pretty well, and you could do the same thing with charcoal. And after I had traced this image onto the block itself, I took a Sharpie and just retraced it so that the lines were really thick and black, and I refined some of the edges a little bit. And yeah, from there I just went ahead to cut it out. So that's the whole process. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, or you could just like Google it, or there's plenty of wonderful tutorials on YouTube itself. But if you have any questions, I'll definitely like feel free to answer them, and I want you guys to understand the process. So now let's cut it out.
Alright, what's up guys? So this is the Lino block after I traced out the design onto it. I traced it with a Sharpie just to kind of make it stand out more and just refine it a little bit. So now we're actually to the step where we get to go ahead and cut it. So this is a little speedball linoleum cutter. Comes in this little handle, kind of like an X-Acto blade. You just loosen and tighten this up to put the different blades in it. But all the blades are down here. So it comes with a few different types. So as you can see, there's some smaller ones for some finer details and then some much thicker ones. So for like the big pieces here, I can use the thicker one. And then for the crevices and corners, I can use a smaller one. So there's a couple things to note before you start going ahead and cutting. No matter what your design is, you can choose to either cut away all the negative space, all the yellow to get the outline, or you can choose to cut out the outline. So whatever you leave uncut is what the print is going to be. So if I decide to cut out all the yellow and leave the black, that black is going to be the outline of the letters, and that's where the ink will catch onto and be transferred to the paper. So that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and cut out all this yellow stuff and just get the black. And a good rule of thumb, I've never done this before, but a good rule of thumb when you're using a lino cutter is to keep your hand out of the way of the blade. So if I'm cutting in this direction, my hand's going to be back here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and give this a try. Just off those couple cuts, it seems to be cutting really easily. Like way easier than I thought it would. I'm not sure how deep you have to cut. As you can see, no, I don't know if you really can see. Let's see. Yeah, you can't really tell how far down I've cut, but it's not really far at all. You just want to make sure it's deep enough that when you use the brayer to put the ink or the paint on, that there's no ridges catching up, catching any of that ink or paint, because then that will be transferred onto your paper. So it's a good thing to just maybe go over those high ridges and just cut those out just in case. But you could always do a test print if you think you're not sure if something's sticking up too far. But yeah, I'm going to keep going ahead and do this. I probably am going to do it off camera because I want to get really close and look at all the details, but the camera's kind of in the way. So maybe I'll do a couple more cuts with the camera just so you can see again. But then I'm going to go ahead and cut it without the camera, and I'll show you guys when I get back.
I also wanted to mention real fast that one of the blades that you saw earlier was kind of triangular shaped, And on the second block, I actually used that to cut around the outline and the inside line of my design before going ahead and cutting with the U and the V gouges. And I think that worked out a little bit better. It made my lines a little bit cleaner. So if you get the same set or a similar set, I would recommend tracing your outlines with that pointed cutter first. It's almost like an X-Acto knife, almost exactly. So I would recommend doing that first if you have a pretty simple design like I do. So that's all I'm gonna say for this video. I'm gonna go ahead and play this out with some music and come back in and share some thoughts with you guys, but enjoy the process.
Alright guys, so it took a while, but I did carve these out. This is the first one that I showed you. It's kind of like a straight letter. A very simple one. I kept it simple because I want to play with the fill a little bit and just take this and make it any design I want. So this is the first one I did. And this is the second one, the vertical like throwy, it'll go like that. Yeah, this definitely took quite a bit of time. I wouldn't recommend it for anyone who has like arthritis or any dexterity issues. But once I kind of got in the zone, it was pretty fun. There's definitely some nicks and stuff where I messed up, but this is my first time doing it, so let's ink these up and see how it works out. This is the brayer that I'll use to spread the ink, and this is the ink, just speedball. My straight letters, so I'm gonna keep doing this. There's definitely some nicks where I messed up, but I can see here some of the ink is not reaching, so I'm gonna see if I can ink it up a little bit better and keep going with this, but that's pretty cool. This was the second one I did, so hopefully it turned out a little bit better. I could definitely see some spots that I need to cut down already, but we'll go ahead and try it out. That's awesome. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep playing around with this, see how I can ink it better, and maybe try to put this down and then put the paper on top of it and see if that works, but I'm gonna keep going and we'll see what we get.
came in and changed my life.
Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I definitely had a lot of fun with this project. It took quite a bit of time, but it was really fun and it's really rewarding because now I can get tons and tons of slaps with very minimal effort. And I'm going to go ahead and design all these and decorate all of them uniquely with some markers and paint pens and things, and that's going to be in another video. And I'm going to send these out in some slap packs, so if you want a pack of stickers and you're down for a trade, hit me up on Instagram at CTG Graffiti. That's in the description below, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks, guys.